Mistakes were made, and I must set the record straight. So today we want to talk a little bit about the KaOS video and some of the corrections in the comment. And I considered actually taking it down, but I was like, you know what? It was just such a fun and pithy thing. It was just a hilarious thing to make fun of a little bit. But I did want to go ahead and correct the error in yesterday's video and talk about why it's not something I should have necessarily spotted. Although, sure, I will take a little bit of blame on this one. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Indeed, in my video yesterday, of course, I even still have the title here. I will probably change this title shortly after getting this up here. KaOS Linux, now with AC. What I had looked at is the release notes for this distribution seem to have some odd things. And I thought, is this some weird AI stuff? Well, it turns out it is an obscure package. Now, I did correct the record down here. I put a fake news correction at the top indicating that, yes, this is a package that we had mentioned it, and we'll go ahead and talk about it. And in the comments, the person who mentioned it initially had mentioned it saying poorly researched video, and I think that it wasn't as poorly researched as people would suggest. So it says, if you knew about the lesser known KDE apps, you would have known about KDE's travel app Itinerary, absolutely not AI generated, and proof of a poorly researched video. I would hope that we had patched things up because I did actually indicate and issued a correction. And he says, oh, thank you for your swift response. So that's cool. But it did sound, the initial comment may have said, hey, poorly researched video. And I asked how much of a poorly researched video is it? Because as I had thrown some of this out in our trusted members group and asked some of the people there, well, one person who's used KDE since its inception and have not used anything else had never heard of this KDE run application. And then I actually got into looking at statistics and found it is not a popular application, but I did want to go ahead and have a look at it as well. And I know it's not a popular application after trying to do just that. So we're going to go ahead and have a look. So first, let's go ahead and talk about what the error was that I had made. So they have the new release of this, and the first paragraph talks about some of the technical changes. Plasma Desktop, latest Plasma 605 KDE gear, all built on Qt7. And they say Dolphin has a more tailored, informative insights into specific folders by default. So when browsing through the recently used files and folders, users will find modification times listed defaults as streamlined instances. Now, you have to understand, Dolphin is the file manager in Plasma. It is the core application. You can run Plasma without it, I think. At least you can run Plasma and not use Dolphin by default, I think. But Dolphin is a core element. The very next statement goes into Itinerary now shows more information about your train coach facilities. This includes general comfort features such as air conditioning or Wi-Fi, as well as things specifically relevant to you as traveling with young children, bicycle, wheelchair. And I said, what is that? That sounded like it was dropped in by some AI. Well, it's not. Turns out Itinerary is a package that is used to organize bus and plane and ferry and other tickets, organizing travel, hotels, and things like that. Now, here's the thing about it. It is a very, very generally not well-known program. In fact, let me know below, prior to me mentioning this, did you know it exists? Because I had no idea that's what that was. Maybe they should have said a package, the Itinerary package now shows. That would have been better. Now, let me tell you why I think that this is no one's truly at fault. I'll take blame for it. Okay, I'm not trying to say I'm perfect and I never get anything wrong. I mean, no. I mean, obviously people will, and I will as well. So with this, the thing about this Itinerary, first, it is a package that has almost no US support. It has bus schedules in for a grand total of 9 stations in the United States, but the rest of the world is included. Americans tend to not use a lot of public transport, so it's not an application we might have known a lot about. Okay, and so for a person that is not traveling a lot, at least not traveling a lot utilizing public transportation, it makes sense that an American may not know as much about it as, for example, a European might, being as that in the European, public transport is much more common, for better or for worse. However, it was a European country person that said, I've been using KDE since its inception, and I have never heard of that package, despite it being a KDE specific application. So I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is something I had mentioned in my previous video on KaOS, but I did not mention on this one. This is not a US-based distribution. It is international, and so they are presumably English is not their first language. And if you read through the whole blog post and release notes, then you can tell there's parts that don't read as clear in English as it could, but that's completely forgivable. Now, why did I take so much emphasis at this and think that this is a mistake? Well, because if you looked at the release notes, now the blog post has this corrected, but in the release notes, this paragraph here is duplicated. And so seeing that duplicated, I did not read the blog post until much later. I read the release notes. Seeing this duplicated in the release notes and noting such an error and a few of the other spelling errors in there, I was watching this and reading this with a much more critical view, and to see something about Wi-Fi access and air conditioning show up in an obscure package in paragraph, we'll call it paragraph 1. The first one's just a sentence. Paragraph 1, talk about this obscure package. Well, it looked to me like an error, and with AI proliferating everywhere, it would make sense if that was used and was an artifact thrown in. So I will completely say I have zero evidence that they used AI and didn't edit it. We're completely retracting that part. I will note, though, Itinerary is not installed by default in this application. They mentioned 3 applications in the opening paragraph. Dolphin, which is a core element of Plasma. They mention Itinerary, which is not particularly popular. I'm going to show you the evidence for that. And they mention Kdenlive, which is also not installed by default, but at least it is in the software menu. I will show you that in a bit. And then they mention other Qt6 and Framework 6 applications. They mention a few other specific applications as they had gone through and done some of the other changes. Now, why do I say that this is not a super popular app? Here is their main landing page for it. You can install it on Linux, and this is, of course, you can get it on Discover. You can also get it on FlatHub. They don't have the link to it, but there is an official snap of this. So it is, you'll notice it is also released by KDE, so it's not like a snap thrown up by some third party. The snap does have it. You can get it on FlatHub. You can get it on F-Droid. You can get it on Google Play. And this has some of the new features. Now, why do I say this is not a well-popular app? When you go into the new FlatHub's website, you can search by the most popular apps. Google Chrome is by far the most popular app, and it has 6.4 million, let's call it almost 6.5 million installs. Firefox is number 2 at like 6.1 million installs. The lowest app on the popular apps is this Yoga Image Optimizer. Yoga Image Optimizer, which is the last app listed on the most popular, which is 34 pages of apps, has 22,000 installs, and Itinerary on Flatpak has 8,000. Now, maybe people are using it more directly from the software package, but being as that a person who is a dedicated fan of KDE had never heard of this KDE Run application, I had never heard of it either. Hey, it begs a question. Should we do a search for every single obscure word inside of something and say, is this a Linux package? Maybe. Hey, that's kind of cool. And so I thought, let's go ahead and have a look at what this package actually looks like. So we're going to go ahead from here and we're going to jump on over into the virtual machine and we're going to have a look at this package. So here we are booted back to the desktop. And if we had a look over at packages here, and we can look through all of these, and there is no reference to this Itinerary package anywhere. We do have a reference to Kdenlive, which is the other package that was involved inside of the that opening paragraph. So you can see we don't have it listed there anywhere at all. We also go to the menu and find that Itinerary is not installed. So let's go ahead and pull up a console and let's do a Pac-Man search. I think I spelled itinerary right. There you go. So you have the itinerary app is here, and we have two references to it. So we have itinerary and we have KItinerary, which is the data extraction module. So let's go ahead and install itinerary. Oh, duh. See, I'm still an idiot. STL's fake news. That weirdo was right. Can't do anything right. All right. So there we are. We are installing this. It's installing itinerary, and it's bringing with it a number of other applications with it as well. So there we have it. We are up to date. Now we should have itinerary installed. There it is. Okay, so here is the itinerary application, and as I said, the itinerary application, this uses a lot of cloud-based resources. There's a lot of cool things in here. All right, so you can open up PDF versions of tickets or Apple Wallet passes. It can also import things. If you're using Kmail, or Nextcloud, there is a plugin for this application so that you can use those to directly import things. And if you are using DAV X5, you can go ahead and import directly from your calendar as well. You can see the Kmail itinerary plugin, or you can scan boarding passes, assuming you have this installed on a device which has a camera on it. Also of note, there is a version of this streamlined for KDE Mobile or Plasma Mobile, which means the Pine phone would actually allegedly work with this. You can start in by checking our settings first, check our home country, and we can check our favorites locations. Now, one of the challenges that I found in here is that as I experimented with adding favorites, I would having favorites in here, but I still could not actually use any of those favorites. Presumably, I think that the favorite locations has to be tied directly to a known bus stop inside of the system, and I could not find any way that we could actually add extra stations. I know, because I actually went online and looked at our local bus schedule, which makes tons of things available. So let me just go ahead and do that real quick. Let me show you what we have available. So with this, KaOS State College, PA. All right. So if you go over, the KaOS is the big transport association here in State College, and it's actually very good. We click up here on developer tools on their website. They actually provide Google GTFS feed files. They have ArcGIS online databases for the routes and for the various stops. They have schedule information, trip updates. They have maps. You can get real-time services, all these developer options, and I don't have the ability to import any of these into KDE Itinerary, which means I'm stuck with only the bus services that they make available. And so if we find those, let's see if we can find those. Here's the public transport systems. Here in the United States, the only options that they have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Portland, Oregon, Chicago, Illinois. We have Boston, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Austin, and the Bay Area, and a couple places that I don't know where they are. I did not find any way we can add more things into this. Even if I had like custom data, I didn't find a way I could add things in. So effectively, for somebody here in the States, if you're talking about the main purpose of this, which is to schedule bus trips and tickets and things like that, I can't do anything on this application unless I'm in one of those core cities. We can travel, query traffic data, which is useful. You can do a weather forecast. It uses the Norwegian Meteorological Institute, and there's no settings for that. And I don't even know if it's checking weather where. I don't know if it's using my local IP address or if it's using the location I have inside of an upcoming event. I don't know what it's using to pull the data, but anyway, we have that. So we also have, let's see what else we had in there. There's notifications. Here's Wi-Fi information. And apparently the information for air conditioning should be available in here, viewable somewhere. There's matrix information integration. That's neat. That's kind of cool. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and we can go back to today if we have more stuff, or you can add a train trip, add a ferry trip, add accommodations, add events. So if you do these types of things here, you can go ahead and give it a name, set the entrance time, the start time, the website, the name, the venue. You can also put in coordinates. So if you want to just kind of pick a location for this, maybe I'm going to go and have a fancy dinner or something at not St. Mary's. Let's see, Dubois, Clearfield, Villefontaine. Okay, let's say we're going to go down here and let's see, there's a really good donut shop. Oh, let's go with this pizza place right here. All right, we're going to go ahead with this pizza place, put our crosshairs over here, hit the button over here, and then you can hit coordinates to address. And in theory, it should work. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so it's giving us the address. I can give it the name over here. And I can then, well, I have to give it a name. Let's go with pizza. I can save it, and this will appear on my itinerary based on whatever time. I can click the button. I can view it on the map. And when you do that, this should open up a panel that asks us, it should open up a panel. That should open up a website to ask us where we would like to view it on. And we have the options. Here's what we're actually going to do. I'm going to jump on over into my Linux Mint system where I was experimenting with, and I'm going to show you a little bit better because it seems to be working a little bit better over there. This, I should have the option to click this, and it should open up a web browser and ask me, do I want to see it on OpenStreetMaps, on Google, and there's 2 other maps there as well. So pardon me for a second. Let me go ahead and jump on over to Linux Mint. All right, now we are on my Linux Mint, and one of the things I decided I was going to do is, how would this work if I wanted to log the various places that I spent some time camping? And with these, you know, it was actually not too bad. Here's that view on map, and what it should do is pull up our mapping here, and then it'll show me exactly where that is on my maps. Here's where I was looking up the CATA bus stuff earlier. Interesting. It's actually doing just street maps now. It used to actually give me the option. How would I like to actually view that particular event? Let me try another one here. Let me go ahead and do that. Hit view on map. And yeah, it's going straight to OpenStreetMap. Maybe I hit a always use this option button. It used to give me 4 different options to choose where to open it up. But this might be a neat way for me to log the various places that I've been, although I did find it was a little clunky and not ultra reliable, if I'm honest. Over here, select our departure stop, where are we coming from, and let's just say State College. And there's nothing here. And the reason is all of these are effectively places that are inside of our bus terminals. Not if we go to our settings, I can pick favorite locations, of which I have some favorite locations installed, but they don't actually allow me to use them. I can add favorite locations. I can remove them. I can even import from GPX or export to GPX, but I found this not to be particularly amazing, as this right here is not Jake's Rocks. I put this in as Roth Rocks, which is where it should be. That should be Rothrock State Forest. Jake's Rocks is where I did that video from the other day, which is up here, and I tried to add that as a separate favorite location, and those don't actually end up to be useful for anything. And so overall, by and large, I found the application, if you are in a place that has these transit systems or you're traveling and you need to have a way to keep track of these types of things, this is indeed a useful application. But it's not one that has a lot of widespread regular use, which is probably why people don't know a lot about it. So that is exactly why I didn't even think that this was some application, and I had just jumped to assume, for better or for worse, that it was some AI statement inside. So I definitely claim that error on my side. But this is an application. You've never heard of it. If you do travel around a lot and you're using a lot of those mainstream travel locations, it might actually be something that's beneficial for you. Although it might be beneficial for you on a phone app, something that you could download via F-Droid instead. So let me go ahead and look back into the settings panel again. I'm going to show you the public transport settings. So you can see that there's actually a number of public transport settings in a variety of different places. So you might look around your list in your country, wherever you're at, and if you happen to have, if this happens to work for a place you actually are using your travel systems, this might be a very useful application. But here in the United States, I wouldn't be caught dead in any of these. In fact, every time I go near any of these cities, I tend to drive around them. But whatever that's worth. So that is what the source of the error was. And the application itself, I thought, again, how would this be utilizing it for, maybe keeping a log of the places I've been to? Ended up not being particularly amazing. You can actually import card or discount programs and things like that. They do have an import feature, although I think this is just for tickets. So you can paste in a ticket if you have one. You can open a PDF file, or you can scan a barcode, or you can, I guess, import tickets from these two sources there. So that is, I have no idea what the download maps button is doing. It's there, and every time I've clicked it, it doesn't seem to do anything. Here's your statistics. And it just tells us a little bit, and it says 8 hotel nights. I'm not sure where those 8 hotel nights were, except I think that one camping trip I put in. Let me put in one of these on my past itinerary. I think this one was listed as a hotel maybe or something. I don't know. So there is the application. It is fairly obscure. I would say it has a limited use, but it could be very useful for people that it would serve your areas for sure. So that is my thoughts on that. And with all that being said, my apologies for the mistake in assuming that KaOS was using an AI and not editing their thing, but it was because they had made reference to an obscure package that is not installed on the system by default. In such a way that didn't make it look like it was a package at all. So I did want to go ahead and clarify the record and, hey, maybe point out a software package that might be useful for you, or it might not be useful for you. Even for my purpose of saying, hey, could I log my various camping trips in here? I found it wasn't a particularly user-friendly way either to add them or to reference them later. But that was my personal take on it. So there it is, though. It is an application available by KDE available on Linux or your Android device through the Play Store or through F-Droid on an Android device or through the regular repository or through Flatpak or through Snap on Linux desktop using the KDE framework. With that, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you know that Itinerary was a package? Is this something I should have known? Is this something I should have stumbled upon doing better research? Was my video first that poorly researched or not? I don't know. Let me know. I feel like posting on the Am I an Idiot on subthread on Reddit or something. Let me know. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hopefully this was a fun little tour and an application for you. With that, guys, thanks for watching, and tomorrow we will be back with more excellent good news on the Windows front. Stay tuned for that, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.